In fact, one of the arguments has been the Quetta Shura has been rather quiet on this whole issue, and is sort of being untouched at the moment.
Right.
So therefore, there is some ground to believe that the US could keep its lines of communication open with a section of the Taliban. But would you not think that this whole idea that the Pakistan's, or at least sections within the Pakistan state have, that we could reach a compromise with this section again and turn them against Afghanistan, against India, and go back to the old position, leave us alone in Pakistan, you can do what you want outside. This kind of thinking is actually one of the problems, and this kind of thinking is difficult in the long run to sustain with a stable, politically, shall we say, more modern Pakistan.
Well, somehow they think that modern, stable Pakistan is not destabilized by these forces in Afghanistan. And therefore, these forces can continue to exist in Afghanistan, and Pakistan can continue to go back to the old thinking. And the old thinking looks everything from the point of view of security, and most of that actually comes in with respect to India. And therefore, everything is focused on India. And for that thinking, it will be a very comfortable situation, and there will be no ambiguities if such a thing happens, if these forces go back and take part in Afghanistan, and if the US also agrees to that and giving them some part in some role in Afghanistan. But I think the point is that we are not very sure how the Pakistani Taliban will react to it. The break with Pakistani Taliban has been extremely, I think, nearly total, because they came in and they started to sweep over Pakistani territory.
Swat and
Bunair and Shangla and other places. And their friends in many other parts in central Pakistan, like in south of Punjab, like in north of Sindh, like in some parts of Balochistan, started to be ready to do what the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan was doing up in the north. And therefore, there was this great danger that this state could be taken over by these people. And therefore, there was this move against them. Now, the point is that my own thinking is that there might be slight differences between Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan, but they basically subscribe to the same ideology, and one has been influenced by the other, and other has taken advantage of the strength of the first. So there is this kind of link between them, and Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan may actually be very focused on Afghanistan and what happens to Afghanistan, but it would find a good deal of strength from Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan itself, and would not like to see it completely destroyed.
It's also the question of Pashtun identity, which unites at least sections of the two together.
Well, that is actually, this is had this been so operative, there would not have been that kind of carnage in Pashtunistan as there is now, because their Pashtuns are killing Pashtuns. There, the Taliban and the suicide bombers are going in and killing people in the streets of Peshawar, and they, in fact, the carnage that they perpetrated in various parts of Swat and Bunair and Shangla, and also in the tribal area in Khyber and other places, where they massacred people and brutally killed people, would not have taken place. So I think the Pashtun identity is at the moment taking perhaps a second place. People are more divided and more rooted into on their own sides into their ideology. There is this strong adherence to the jihadist ideology, and there is the other section which is not strongly rooted into jihadist ideology, maybe Muslim, maybe practicing Muslim, but not quite strongly linked with the jihadi movement.
The exclusionary Muslim politics, in that sense. Right. Exclusionary politics.
In that sense, yes. And that is what divides them. And this is what the state of Pakistan is trying to do now, taking side with this other thing and trying to strengthen them. In fact, what happened in the beginning was that in the beginning, when they started to establish their rule in the tribal region, FATA, the local power structure started to oppose them, started to put them down. And this power structure was around Malaks, the local tribal leaders, who had obviously always had support from frontier constabulary, which they could use, and Khasadars, which they could use to extend their rule. And through that rule, this was the time, this was an arrangement from the British times. So through that system, they could extend it. So Taliban did this thing first. I mean, they destroyed this power structure first. More than half of the Malaks were eliminated, simply murdered, assassinated, eliminated. The others just fled the region. They went to Peshawar or to Karachi or to other places, and they just left the place. So this is where they captured power in entire frontier region. Initially, when the frontier constabulary came in to oppose them, they proved too weak against the organized force of jihadis. Now, what Pakistan needs to do is actually to go back and either restore the old power structure or create a new one. Where would it create a new one from? In what shape would this new one come in is again a big question, whether that will be acceptable to people or not. Initially, the Taliban were also very strongly opposed by people in the form of, well, again, through Malaks, Lashkars. Lashkars were popular resistance to this onslaught. And these Lashkars were very brutally defeated by the Taliban, completely routed. And then these were, the Malaks had to flee, and a number of people from the Lashkars were assassinated.
When you say Lashkars, it's not the Lashkar-e-Toiba as
okay,
you understood.
Yeah, I should be very careful. I should be very careful. Lashkar actually is not Lashkar-e-Taiba. Lashkar is a simple tribal army. Yeah. A tribal army that the tribal forces usually create about themselves to confront a larger enemy that they need to actually. There is a kind of an egalitarianism in tribalism, in the tribal system, where they try everybody to take everybody along with them. And there is participatory approach in this. So they ask everybody to send a couple of people with arms and guns and ammunition so that they can confront the enemy and keep the tribe safe.
That's the Lashkar's formation.
That is the Lashkar formation. The Lashkars were very badly defeated. And at that time, the state of Pakistan did not go to support them, did not provide them enough support to survive.
This was in the time of?
This was in actually 2007. 2008, and they were completely overrun. One person who withstood all of this was an Awami National Party leader, Lala Afzal Khan, who stayed put in there, and he confronted all these jihadis and Taliban. Taliban had captured nearly every area except for his own village, which he defended very strongly, and then finally survived. And we heard from him how his pleas to the military and to frontier constabulary to come to his help and save him did not quite succeed, because by then the military had not yet determined that they had to take action against them. So now that the military is going in and defeating them, it will have to create some kind of power structure. And this power structure could be, I think the old power structure would not work, because it will again be, it may not, it may have grown old. It may not be able to be strong enough to take on any future thing. I think what the state of Pakistan is thinking about, thinking of, and what many of the people in the tribal region also are in favor of, is to actually extend the Pakistani administrative system into the tribal region and put up a large number of military posts on the border and completely include the tribal region into Pakistani administrative system. My understanding is there is no strong opposition to this. The strongest opposition to it would come from those who would benefit from their own rule over there, which is now the Taliban. The Malaks are no more strong enough.
Thank you, Professor Nayyar, to be with us. We all hope that out of this something would emerge in terms of a more secular polity, or at least a more inclusionary polity in Pakistan. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.